All right, I'm back. Back for another round of doing this 2 or 3 times, getting bored of it, and then moving on with my life and completely forgetting about this. But hopefully not this time. Hopefully this actually turns into something. Hopefully I actually stick with it. I am here with a vengeance, here to talk about why beauty is so important. Oftentimes nowadays we think of beauty as in the eye of the beholder, that it's subjective, and if it's subjective, then beauty is completely irrelevant. Right? If beauty is just a matter of taste, it's just a matter of whatever it is we want or whatever it is we prefer, then there is no universalizing aspect to it. There is no objective importance to it out there in the cosmos that we have to submit ourselves to. Instead, it's just hedonism. To make this case, I want to posit a theory that's been working in neuroscience for about 75 years or so, ever since Norbert Wiener published a book called Cybernetics. Neuroscience has been moving towards a model of the brain that's something like a receptor of bottom-up information, bottom-up sensory information, somewhat with a top-down imposed structure just through your genetics, but largely built from bottom-up information, sensory processing, mostly through surprising information that if it's more surprising, it's updating your internal model. You're building this model of the world through your sensory information. That model then becomes the means by which you're going to predict future states of the world, as well as determine your actions operating in said world. So if your model is informed by your senses, then it's going to inform all of your thoughts. It's going to inform your understanding of the world and how you operate in it. If your inputs are ugly, then so too are your thoughts, and so too are your actions. But if your inputs are beautiful, then so too will your actions. Then so too will be your understanding of the world. So, for example, with the exception of those who have come up with their own words, whoever invented their own words, which to say is very few people, just about zero people alive have ever invented a word. Right? Zero people in history have ever invented a word. So, setting them aside, the small minority who actually do invent words, most of us, the bulk of us, the words that we use are reflective of all of the words that we have learned throughout all our time speaking that particular language. Right? All of the words I use are informed by the movies I watch, the people that I grew up with, the YouTube videos I watch, whatever it is going to be. If you take the time to fill your soul with the great English poets, if you fill your soul with the King James Bible, with Shakespeare, with Milton, with all of the best, then your language, because you don't know anything else, will reflect that. But if you fill it up with slop and garbage and all of that, then so too will your utterances be slop and garbage and all of that. So you can then broaden this beyond just language. If you're filling your soul with the cantatas and fugues of Bach, if you're filling your soul with the images and iconography of Michelangelo at his height, if you're constantly exposing yourself to the heights of the operas of Mozart, then your soul, your understanding of the world, the way you think, the way you act in the world will all reflect that. If it's the best, then your soul will be the best. That's why this is so important, right? If you're just surrounded by ugliness, if you're surrounded by chaos, if there is no logical coherence to your world, to your life, then that's how you're going to act. That's how you're going to assume that the world works, and that's how you're going to interact with everyone else. That's how you're going to treat yourself, and that's how you're going to predict the future. It's going to be a lack of prediction. It's going to be assuming that there is no cause and effect. But if logic does exist, if order does exist, if beauty does exist, and you put that all in your life, right? That's what you've come to know. You've seen all of the order in all of the rhyme schemes of a Shakespearean sonnet. You've seen all of the order in the counterpoint of Bach's fugues. You've seen all of the harmony that's playing out across the symmetry in a beautiful face, or in a rose window, or in how characters are reacting in a given painting. Right? If that's all of your if that's the information that informs all of your senses, and that informs the generative model in your head, then that informs how you act. That's your understanding of the world. But the argument I presented here is the Aristotelian side of the argument. This is totally bottom-up processing. But I think you also have to go down the other path of a Platonic top-down approach. Right? Mostly what I've been doing is looking at the mind, looking at the brain as the defining feature of humanity, as the means by which we understand beauty and reflect that in our lives. But I think you also have to go the other way as well, as a top-down, through our hands in particular, imposition of beauty on the world. Right? The two defining features of humanity is our brain, largely our eyes as well. Our eyes are means by which we take in the bulk of our sensory information, do most of our information processing. But the top-down approach would be our hands. If you ever look at a painting, right, the two things that are always going to stick out to you most, assuming it's some type of portrait, are the face, right? Are the eyes pointing in the same direction? Is the face symmetrical? And if it's not, you will never look at that painting ever again. You will hate it and be disgusted by it. The same goes for the hands. The hands are extremely complicated to do, and everyone knows this about the hands as well as the face, because any poor painter avoids drawing hands and faces. That's what they do. They hide it in their jackets, and they hide it behind backs and whatnot. And they're looking away in perfect profile, or I guess the opposite of 3/4 pose, whatever that would be. And we're just getting started, so I guess I'll have to figure out whatever's going on with these lights. So for the top-down Platonic approach, it isn't enough just to take in all of that sensory information and inform your soul, right? If you're surrounded in a world that is ugly, then what are your options? Is your soul just destined for ugliness? Of course not. You have to fight for it. You have to fight for beauty. And the way you do so is taking the axioms that you've been handed, working from your sensory information, working from the premises that you seem to know to be true. And then with that, using logic, using reason to come to new conclusions that you had not previously had before. That's part of the gift of the mind. That's part of the gift of humanity. That's part of the gift of the logos. But it's also taking that and using our hands to build something beautiful. Go write the next great poem. Go start a business. Go start a family. Go discover a new island. Go make bold scientific discoveries. It's not enough just to fill your soul with beauty. You have to go out and build it in the world. Not just for your sake, not just for everyone else's sake, but for the sake of humanity, for the sake of your nation, for the sake of all of the progeny, of all of the generations that are going to come after you. We wouldn't have such beautiful souls today if it weren't for the fact, and not to say that we all have beautiful souls, because we all disregard beauty all the time. It's unfortunately. But we wouldn't have the potential to have such beautiful souls if it were not for Michelangelo's insane discipline to make the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, to make the murals on the Sistine Chapel, or to sculpt the David or anything like that. It takes discipline. It takes work. It takes logic. It takes reason. It takes an understanding of order. It takes an education to be able to do something like that. And all of that's dying. All of that is dying. We don't believe in beauty anymore. We believe it's subjective. We believe it's irrelevant. We believe that no one can communicate anything at all about beauty. We believe we live in a chaotic world. Everything that makes the world beautiful, we're losing. This is what is worth fighting for. That's basically the definition of beauty. Anyways, that's the first video. We'll see how well this does. Let's see if I actually stick with it. Hopefully I do. Hopefully I keep on keeping at this. So here's to that. I'll see you in the next one.